right? So you have you had some sort of relationship with your fans, and when we were talking earlier this week, you know, Gary mentioned that the idea of having that direct connection, and having that action, and how as many Facebook likes as you have, as many Twitter followers as you have, as sort of as many conduits you have to reaching people. It seems to be that the good old-fashioned email list that, you know, passing the clipboard around at the shows, you know, or whatever, still seems to have the most responses.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the most effective way, I think, because especially with Twitter, it's like if you're not looking at Twitter that for like the 1 minute when my tweet is up, it's gone down the page. So. And it's also like timing globally, you know, it's really hard to kind of get people's attention in Europe if you're not, you know, doing it, you know, tweeting at the right time and things like that. So the email list, it's also something that you own. I mean, you don't own those Twitter followers. You don't have their emails. You don't have your Facebook followers' emails. So it's like, that's still a really great asset to have as a filmmaker. You want to be independent of, you know, when Facebook changes its user policy or whatever, you want to have those email addresses and have that list. So it's still, you know, kind of seems, I don't know, almost old-fashioned now. But, you know, I still send out an email newsletter, and I do it, you know, not that frequently. It's maybe once every 3 months when I don't have a film in release, and when I do have a film in release, it's maybe once a month. So it's pretty mellow. But it's I think it's still valuable, and I get the most response for anything from that email list versus you know, Twitter.
And so coming back to the idea of the creator point of view, you know, I think film obviously is such a collaborative medium, right? So who do you, and when you're working with a distributor, when you're working with you know, when you crowdfund your film, right? The idea of who is part of the process, who is the singular entity behind this, I think can change. And to that end, if you were working with a distributor on your movie, who would own those emails? Would you insist that it's yours? Is there a world in which that is the distributors also? Do distributors value that stuff? Like when you guys work with Kickstarter projects, do you take on those lists and keep them? Is it coming up? Or, you know?
Yeah, we're figuring it out now with Obvious Child. I mean, we've started to receive the emails only because we need to fulfill the 200 and some digital downloads that are owed to the backers. But I think that's what's interesting about your platform, VHX, you know, to have, as a distributor, we don't get the data from iTunes or Comcast. We don't know who's buying it. So for each film, you're kind of reinventing the wheel. There's only so much migration you can do on your Facebook page or your YouTube channel to get that audience to see your latest release. But what's interesting about you guys is you're able to get those email addresses and share them with the distributor, which I think is valuable. And while we don't work together yet, you know, that is something that's attractive to us.
I think it's an interesting question, though, right? Because that is something, it's kind of like, you know, we see this all the time now. There used to be, every documentary filmmaker, you know, for the past 15 years has been carving out the rights to sell DVDs from their own website. It's kind of like a foregone thing. You can always do that, and it's a right that you're sort of able to get no matter who you work with. And by that logic, a few years ago, people were able to do the same thing with downloads. They were to say, well, I want to sell downloads from my website. And, you know, the distributor said, yeah, sure, whatever. You know, but as that market has grown, and as people have started to gain, I think, made significant amounts of money doing that, companies who you're licensing with are less willing to give on that kind of stuff. And I think the next thing that we're about to see is the value of data, the value of audience, as that stuff opens up. So I'm curious if it's something that's on your radar or if you're in a situation at a festival where someone has not 200 backers, but what if they have, you know, 20,000, you know, and it's a film that is somehow tangentially related to other films that you might have. I'm curious, Gary, is that something that you would ever give up, or that you would ever sort of share, or is that yours? Is that something that you?
Yeah, I mean, I would think of, you know, me as the creator being kind of separate from the distribution channel that I'm using to get the films out. So, I mean, I would probably not. I mean, although A24 is awesome, and it would be great if I made a narrative feature and they distributed it. But I would probably still keep my same, you know, Twitter followers and my email. You know, I would help them, support them with the release, but I don't think I would just be like, oh, here's the Word file with everybody's email in it. But again, I'm not, like, I'm not looking for distribution. Like, we all have distribution. It's called the internet. We can get our films out. You can give your distribution rights or license them to somebody else to help you if you feel like you need that help, or you can just kind of do it on your own. So all these the question doesn't really apply. I just want to build up my own channel and keep it going. And the relationship between me and the people, those the people, the audience. Like I am the audience. I'm just another person in the audience. Like that's how I know the audience. Just like I'm that person who would pay $10 to see a movie about a fawn. And when I'm doing this stuff with like the voice or whatever, it's just the same as like Twitter, or like my Twitter followers. They're like another member of the crew pretty much when I'm making the film. The same kind of things that I would be like. Sending to my editor saying, oh, did you see this article and whatever, like check this out. It's the same exact stuff that I do to people that are following me. It's just things that I'm interested in that they're probably interested in too, and it's kind of being kind of a source for information about the subject. It's not all about me. It's about the subject matter that I'm making the documentaries about. That's why people are following me. They want to know more about design or architecture or whatever. So that's how I.
So that's an ongoing thing, right? Because that's not
yeah.
that's not looking at it in terms of these are the windows, and then the movie's over, and then we're going to move to something else.
It's all the same. It's all cumulative. It's again, I think for me that's the